All right, so I just got back from watching Goat, the latest animated movie from Sony Animation, who used to be pretty bad. They used to put out stuff like Open Season and the Emoji Movie and stuff. Their only bright spot really was Arthur Christmas and that Pirates movie, Band of Misfits. But yeah, they used to make some pretty bad stuff. But then they started doing Into the Spider-Verse, basically. They did that, and it changed the animation scene. People started responding with movies like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. But Sony has been on a heater lately with releasing pretty good movies with this very unique animation style. Not just the Into the Spider-Verse movies, but the Mitchells versus the Machines is one of them. And then they had a big hit last year with K-pop Demon Hunters. So now they are back with Goat, which is about a anthropomorphic goat living in an anthropomorphic animal world a la Zootopia. And he wants to be a basketball star. They don't call it basketball, but it's basketball. And but the problem is that he's a goat. He's a small little goat man, and everyone else who plays this sport are the big animals, right? Like elephants, giraffes, horses. What else? Like pandas, rhinos. There's a couple big-ish animals in there as well, like ostriches and Komodo dragons. But it's the big, tanky animals that play, not really small animals like a goat. But he really loves his team and he wants to try, and he's really good at shooting threes. So eventually he gets his chance to prove himself, and it's in one of those underdog stories of the ages. So I was quite disappointed in this movie. It's not bad, so don't get me wrong there. It's not a bad movie by any means. It's just incredibly generic. If you've seen any underdog sports movie, you've seen Goat. If you've seen any, animal movie, you've seen Goat. There's nothing very unique about this movie at all, besides the animation style, which even by now isn't that unique anymore, even if it is really good. We've seen it before. We've seen K-pop Demon Hunters. We've seen Into the Spider-Verse. We've seen this stuff before. So there's not a lot of originality going on here. And this is probably just me, but I have found the main character to be very annoying. He's not necessarily a Mary Sue. He's not like he's Mr. Perfect where he can just do anything. I did actually appreciate that the movie highlights his weaknesses. He is small, so he cannot play defense at all. But he's a really good strategic mind and he's a really good shooter. So they amplify that, which I appreciated. The movie didn't make him just really good at defense as well. So there is that. But there is another character that I felt like should have been the main character because she actually has a character arc, and her name is Jet, I believe. Jeff Finmore or something? I don't know. But she's this legendary player who's never won anything, but she's really, really good, and she's, near the end of her career, but she doesn't want to admit that yet because she feels like she's still got it, and she does, but she's on a bad team and she can't win anything. And the movie is kind of about her accepting the fact that her time is up, or at least almost up, and it's time for, the young blood to come in. Even though she feels like she's still young blood, she still has stuff to prove. And so she has to grapple with that. And that's a lot more interesting than whatever Goatman had going on, where he wanted to prove himself, which I've seen many times, but it's not very often that you see a movie from the perspective of the mentor or the reluctant mentor. And I felt like if the movie would have had a lot more going for it, if you don't drop Goatman character, you keep him as like the secondary character, but the main character is this Jet character. She's a Black Panther. And she's the actual focus of the story because the movie as is, she's really the only one that has a character arc. She's the only one that really learns anything. Goat doesn't really learn anything in the movie. He just proves himself by the end. Spoilers, I guess. So yeah, I just think this movie would have been a lot better if it had a different main character. Also, it's not as funny as I thought it would be. Lately, these Sony movies have been pretty funny. K-pop Demon Hunters was funny. Mitchell's versus the Machines was funny. Spider-Verse is hilarious. And they're funny and have an edge. This movie doesn't have that much of an edge, and it's not that funny. There is a Komodo dragon that's voiced by Nick Kroll that got a couple chuckles out of me, but beyond that, there's not a lot for here for adults. I will say the actual basketball games are pretty interesting and pretty unique. They incorporate environments, very hazardous playing conditions. There's like lava in one basketball court and stalactites falling down from the ceiling in another basketball court, and there's snow and sandstorms and all this cool stuff. It made me wish the movie focused on the games a little bit more, the actual basketball games, because these environmental hazards in the games made it pretty interesting. So the games were pretty cool. I wish they were even cooler, though. Yeah, so if you have kids will probably like this movie just fine, especially if they're young and like basketball. I can see them getting a real kick out of this movie, and it's not completely awful. So as an adult, you're not going to want to be pulling your hair out like it's the Smurfs or something like that. But don't go in expecting something that is equally entertaining for kids and adults, like the really good animated movies. This is mainly for kids that adults can watch without hating themselves. Yeah, so those are my thoughts on GOAT.